In this video, I continue to shout at my camera, get intimate with plastic, and explain why I have no regrets about what I'm about to share. Let's get it started. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Listen, I want to get straight into it. No more fluff, okay? Let's talk about what the title is all about, and that is 5 reasons why I choose the X-Pro3 over the X-T3. As you know, I have a Fujifilm X-Pro3. Did a bunch of videos on that. Links are in the description. But many of you could argue, and heck, I can even argue, that I could have just gotten another X-T3. It would have been more economical, it would have been the same footprint, they would be interchangeable, and still get the results that I'm looking for. Well, I want to dispel that and really explain why me, not forcing any of you, why I decided to choose an X-Pro3 over an additional X-T3. And again, I will say that this is my decision. I had the opportunity to either get another X-T3 or an X-Pro3. This is simply why I decided to go with an X-Pro3. And I think in doing this and elaborating this, some of you that are on the fence and deciding between these two bodies, it might tick you in one way or the other. Anyways, I've done enough to set it up. Let's just get into these 5 reasons. The first reason why is the reduction. Simply a camera that gets away with as many buttons and dials as possible with leaving just enough to be efficient in what needs to be captured. So there are some shortcuts that you'll need when you're in the street, when you're traveling, when you're capturing for fun, when you're capturing for yourself. But beyond that, and even as a surprise to myself, there's a lot less that you need than you might think you do, if that makes sense. For example, the D-pad. I thought I needed a D-pad on every single camera that I owned, a directional pad that can double as shortcuts. Turns out, I don't need it when I'm shooting for fun, when I'm shooting for myself. Yes, it's incredibly valuable when I'm in the studio environment or when I'm in the video environment and really need to be more surgical. But when I'm in the streets, when I'm traveling and more of that flow state, photography, I'm gonna try to make that a trend. Turns out I really don't. I usually just pick a custom profile, tweak around the focusing settings, and then I'm just capturing. And that reduction forces me to be more in tune with what's important, not hit any accidental buttons, and in my opinion, lead to a better capture process. The second reason why I chose an X-Pro3 over an X-T3 is the offset design. Having the viewfinder, the hybrid viewfinder, off to the left of the camera, it just leaves space for my nose, guys. I mean, listen, all these reasons, there's not gonna be a huge argument around them, but the X-T3 is fantastic for what it does and the feature set that it includes, and it's a fantastic viewfinder, and it's not so painful that I don't enjoy using it, but when I'm shooting for myself, when I'm shooting for fun, and we're talking about enjoying the process, really this third slot for me where I want to go and just have fun with the capture process, I'd like it to be as comfortable, enjoyable as possible, as much as possible. And that offset design is something I really enjoy, where I can bring this up, also have this eye to view my surrounding and see what's going on, but also my nose is just not hitting the camera anymore. It's something that I really, truly enjoy. So if you're looking at a camera between these two and it's more about the process, you might like this, especially if you have a big schnoz like this. Is schnoz another word for nose? I really hope so. I hope I didn't offend someone in a different country in some part of the world. The third reason why I chose an X-Pro3 over an X-T3 is because of what they did with the back LCD. I am a fan of this. I talked about this in my review. Not everyone is a fan of this, and you don't have to be a fan of this. I'm not gonna tell you to be a fan of this. I'm just letting you know that I am a fan of this. This idea where the screen is predominantly hidden and you are out of the way of that, and really just using this for what it is something that I like. But also, on top of that, the sub LCD. Let me buff this real quick. I talked about this in my first impressions video and a little bit in my review, but the sub LCD to me is more than just a gimmick. It's kind of the best kind of gimmick you can get, where you can see your settings, but you see your settings on your dials anyway. But when you're in that classic mode, you're not just seeing the film simulation, you're seeing that the style that you're shooting in. And again, this is not for everyone. I'm just letting you know, personally, I like this. I like that even when my camera is off, I know what custom profile I'm in. and I can switch between them using the back dial shortcut and visually see what style I'm shooting in. It's almost like I'm changing a film stock and going to one of my looks. And teaser, I'm gonna be sharing all my custom profiles really soon, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, this is something that I've become a fan of. I will say this as well, I wish there was a backlight on the sub LCD. I haven't done much street photography at night right now, but even in the darkly lit environments that I did use this camera in, I could tell right away that if this thing had even a little bit of a backlight that you can turn on with a timer or whatever it may be, would have been really, really nice. So I hope they bring that in a future iteration of this camera. The fourth reason why, and again, we're talking about street travel photography, something that I'm shooting for fun, that I want to just move around and just be in the moment with, is waist level shooting. It kind of relates to the third point, but because this LCD flips down, when you're shooting at lower angles, when you're shooting from the waist, it's just more comfortable than most other cameras. And because of the angle at which this happens, you see more of that LCD than the other screen on the X-T3, where you kind of have to tilt up to go down and see down. I hope that made sense to you, but essentially when you have waist level shooting environments or low angle shooting environments with the X-Pro3, this is a preferred shooting experience than the X-T3 in my opinion. And the fifth reason why I prefer the X-Pro3 over the X-T3 is the hybrid viewfinder. This is a differentiator. There's nothing like this on the market where you can switch between optical or EVF or have optical with a small EVF, and it just allows you to have not the best of both worlds, but the best of one world and the pretty good of another world. Keep in mind, with the optical viewfinder, it is a limited magnification. So you can only use lenses between 23mm and 90mm to actually get your framing guideline to see where you're composing your image. Can't really go wider than that, and I wish they had accommodated the 16mm. But in any case, if you do shoot in that range, if you are a fan of 23 to 50mm on the Fuji system, it's a fantastic addition. It's something that you just can't help but tell other users about and give them the camera to look through and see, especially when you're in low light environments or low light studio environments with off-camera flash. Having just a straight, clear view of your subject, so you're just focusing on composition, is something that I've come to enjoy. And then when you need it, you have a fantastic electronic viewfinder, something that gives you the best that Fuji has to offer in this category, with really high refresh rate as well. So again, the hybrid viewfinder is incredibly unique. You don't see anything like this on any other system on the market, and something that they've improved for the X-Pro3. And yes, I'll say it again, you can't customize the magnification here, so you have limited range. That being said, it's still pretty awesome, unless you shoot 16mm all the time, in which case it's not as awesome. With all that said, I guess all of this culminates into one bonus sixth reason why I prefer the X-Pro3 over the X-T3. And here it is. It's more fun. Listen, I don't care what other people are saying about this camera. For me, the Fujifilm X-Pro3 is just more fun to use than a Fuji X-T3. And I tried to talk myself out of it. Really, I have had conversations with myself. It's like a scene from Me, Myself, and Irene with Jim Carrey. For those of you that don't know, please look up that movie. It is a classic. But in any case, trying to talk myself out of this argument as I was scripting this video. Is it just a honeymoon period? Go out and trying both cameras and switching between them. Listen, the X-Pro3 is just a more fun camera to use. Is more fun grammatically correct? Is that correct? More fun? I guess I could say that. I don't know, I've already said it. Listen, at the end of the day, I like picking up the X-Pro3. When I look at both cameras, I want to pick up the X-Pro3 first. When I want to shoot for fun, when I want to shoot for myself, and even certain studio environments, I'll at least try this first. And then I realize there's certain things that are just better on the X-T3, and namely having a battery grip. I digress. All in all, when it comes to the shooting experience, I would argue that the X-Pro3 is plainly just more fun to use. And that's it. Except when it comes to video, in which case the X-T3 is much more fun and does a better job. So that's one little asterisk. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. As always, I wanna know what you guys think, so let me know in the comments below. Let's have a conversation there. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications so you know when a new video comes out. I have a ton of stuff to work on, so I'll just see you guys next time.